It's been said when you marry someone, you marry his family too. Yes, friends, that means his mother becomes part of your happily ever after. As far as mothers-in-law go, I got pretty lucky. Karen wasn't my best friend, but we got along well and loved each other. I knew Karen was going to be all right as a mother-in-law when Mike and I went on a canoe trip with his family before we were married. A few miles into our glide down the Blue River, after Mike had fallen out of the canoe a few times, he kept yelling at me to look for the V, which had something to do with rocks that kept tossing him overboard. I couldn't for the life of me see a V or anything that looked like a letter of the alphabet. Mike was frustrated and started yelling, "How could I not see the V? And how it wasn't that hard?" Karen drifted up, a passenger in her own canoe, and said very sternly to my future husband, "Don't you yell at her." It was a good place to be, in the future mother-in-law's good graces. She did have me worried, though, when she searched without luck for a dress to wear to our wedding. The wedding was less than a month away when she called me excitedly and said, "I found my dress. It's a purple Nana." Completely unaware that Nana was a brand, all I could imagine was wedding picture after wedding picture with my new mother-in-law standing there smiling in a bright purple muumuu. The day came and she looked very nice in a dress that was not at all a muumuu. And she didn't even say a word, at least to me, when her son and I smashed cake in each other's faces at the reception, even though she had begged us for months not to. Someone told me at a bridal shower, "Don't criticize your mother-in-law. She is the woman who raised the man you love." It sounded like wise counsel. But I will admit, when my husband leaves the refrigerator door open or clears a room with toxic gas, my most often asked question is indeed, "Who raised you?" To which Karen would reply if she were in the vicinity when the question was posed, "Oh, please don't send him home." Then we would both laugh. In the early years of our marriage, Karen was the cause of many an eye roll, an impatient toe tap, a passing of the phone as it was ringing because it's your mother. But she was also the source of laughter and joy and relief. She once came for a visit and paid by the pound to have the dry cleaner do all the laundry I was behind on. I hate to admit it, but it was about 100 pounds of laundry. Though in my defense, we're big people, so our clothes weigh more. When I was a stay-at-home mom, Karen would call almost every day at 4 p.m. to announce who was the guest on Oprah. I would turn on the television and settle in, cradling the phone between my neck and shoulder. I wasn't supposed to hang up, but I wasn't really supposed to talk either. We just watched Oprah together, 200 miles apart. When Karen came out to help after Mike had surgery, she took care of dinner every night, which is to say she went to the deli of the local grocery store and bought pre-made entrees that she passed off as her own. She swore me to secrecy. Sorry. To this day, my kids think Gogo made the best chicken and noodles on the planet. She wasn't perfect. I have photographic evidence of the trip to Holiday World, where she and my father-in-law let my 3-year-old daughter walk around with a pacifier in her mouth for 2 days, even though they knew we were trying to break her of it. That 3-year-old is 18 now, graduating from high school in a couple of weeks. She doesn't use a pacifier, and she never even had braces. So I suppose the Holiday Road pacifier wasn't as catastrophic as I thought it was then. And we may or may not have delayed our son Charlie's start in kindergarten, in part because he wasn't ready, and in part because it was easier to have him wait a year than to tell Karen we were sending him against her advice. Karen lived her life in go big or go home fashion. She took an idea about a place where kids could play and learn and turned it into hands-on discovery in Eastland Mall. Then she moved it to Washington Square Mall and remained part of the team who turned it into the Children's Museum of Evansville. She loved making connections between people and finding ways to put people's talents to work for a common goal. I like to think she and I are alike that way. It would take 20 minutes to leave a restaurant because Karen would stop at several tables to talk to people she knew, and she knew everyone. Karen was the physical embodiment of Facebook before Facebook even existed. One thing Karen was not good at, besides cooking, one thing Karen was not good at was technology in any form. Every time she received an email with an attachment, she would forward it to me, ask me to open the attachment, and then copy and paste all the contents back into another email and send it to her. If she wasn't going to be home when Oprah was on, she would call and ask me to videotape it for her. Even when the world moved on to the DVR, Karen was still kicking it old school. She loved Taroni's Pizza, Lick's Ice Cream, and Murder, She Wrote. But she was not an old fuddy-duddy. She could cuss with the best of them, preferring the F word in triplicate when things weren't going her way. Karen died 4 years ago tomorrow, and I miss her. I often think of what she would say or do in certain situations. I listen for her laugh when one of my kids does something naughtily funny. And I think about how she acted as a mother-in-law to me will someday influence the kind of mother-in-law I will be to my children's spouses. I hope they like store-bought chicken and noodles and the F word.